Ladies and gentlemen, Dave from OrgoneGenerator.com, and in this video I'm going to make a bold claim, and here's the claim. An Orgone generator should make you better. You should be a better person after you get an Orgone generator. Why? Well, you can run operations on yourself. Most of us have things that we think about doing. Most of us have things that we know we should do, but then we don't do them. Okay, I mean that's probably like the most common human problem. I had a teacher tell me one time, a professor tell me one time, we're all gonna die knowing what we should do. All right, and that's the truth. Like change is hard. If it were easy, everybody would have amazing lives, right? Manifestation would be easy. But the reality is that, changing your behavior, changing your habits, your processes, that's challenging. But an Orgone generator can help with that, and an Orgone generator should make you better. I'll give you an example. Most humans, most of us would be better if we woke up in the morning and we did 20 to 30 minutes of meditation. Stop thought meditation, okay? It doesn't have to be transcendental. But most of us would be better if we woke up and did meditation, right? Yet we don't do it. We know that, a lot of us know that, but we still don't do it. And that's cognitive dissonance. Like thinking you should be doing one thing while you're doing another, that's cognitive dissonance. And then I personally believe that's like the biggest enemy of humans. Let's take meditation as an example. So how can an Orgone generator make you a better person in relation to meditation? Simple. One, you run an operation on yourself to make it easier for you to wake up in the morning and do meditation immediately. You run an operation where you easily wake up. You wake up and easily meditate for 20 minutes in the morning, something like that. So kind of like a meta operation on your own actions. You could do more, you easily get into a flow state, you easily stop the thoughts. So basically make your meditation deeper. There are a number of operations you could run depending on what your goals are. And it's all about leverage points. I think life is a lot about leverage points and doing, it's a lot about leverage points and meditation and stopping your brain from spinning before it really starts for the day and removing stress and being less reactive. That will really help you, and that will compound over time. It might seem small, it's only 20 minutes. It might seem small, but that will compound in your decision making over time. I mean, the most important thing you do during the day, and the reason you're in whatever situation you're in right now, the reason you're there is because of your decision making. I mean, decision making is the single most important skill. So running operations on yourself, we talk about affecting other people, sending energy to pyramids, grids, all these things. Using an Orgone generator to affect your own decision making in a positive way, in a way that you want it to be affected, it's one of the most powerful things you can do. Okay? So, if you would like to meditate 20 minutes a day, run operations that make it easier for you to do that. Remove resistance to meditating for 20 minutes a day. And you could say in the morning or whenever you want to do it. Run operations to make your meditation during that time deeper. Another thing you can do, and this kind of just goes to manifestation techniques, whether it's The Secret, whether it is Tony Robbins. First of all, you have to do the stuff. Okay, I mean, that's one thing with Tony Robbins is okay, he talks about priming in the morning. Cool, make it easy for yourself to prime. Run operations to where you're motivated, to where you remove resistance to that, to where you build the habit of doing that. Habits are a hack in that they don't take more life energy. Once you've got something that is a habit, it doesn't take as much brain power and life energy to actually carry out. And if you get habits of positive things, well, you're kind of on. It doesn't take life energy to like do positive things for yourself. So, you could run operations to make your Tony Robbins priming better, or to just get yourself to do it in the first place, to remove resistance to doing it in the first place. Another thing you can do, a lot of manifestation techniques cover affirmations. These are things that you tell yourself and you're trying to program your subconscious. I mean, Carl had a whole course on autogenic training with an Orgone Generator, and that's still up somewhere. I'd have to find the link. But autogenic training is basically like get your subconscious and your conscious mind aligned using an Orgone Generator, and that can be, with affirmations, right? Like affirmations, you're supposed to just say them over and over until your subconscious believes them, and then they become part of you. So, I mean, you could run operations that are like, that help the affirmations get into your subconscious. Run operations to make sure that you do your affirmations every day. Run an operation to help you come up with affirmations that would be really beneficial towards you. A lot of times, like you come up with stuff that you've heard elsewhere. What's coming from you? What's coming from you? That's going to be more powerful. So the, affirmations, mantras, kind of the same thing. So it's like you want to make yourself say them. You want to come up with them. You want to make yourself say them. And then you want them to get embedded into your psyche. You can use an Orgone Generator for all of that. Okay. It could be exercise. Do you think you should work out more? Use an Orgone Generator, not to, get ripped with no work. That doesn't work, but use an Orgone Generator to help you do the things that you need to do. And if that's working out, maybe you want to work out 4 or 5 days a week, but you find it hard. Make it easier with an Orgone Generator. Run operations on yourself. You find the time, you have the focus, you have the motivation, you have the discipline. And I think that's like a really good area where Orgone Generators, we talk about affecting other people and events and objects, but affect yourself. Like you've got you. You're the most important thing, and no one cares about you more than you. And you can absolutely use a generator for your own well-being. And I actually think that's like a great use of life energy. If I had a PFC 2000, I don't know. I mean, in certain instances, I would do stuff, affecting someone else or an event. But in a lot of cases, I mean, I would say like work on yourself. Work on yourself. How you move through the world is probably the single most important factor in getting the life that you want. The decisions that you make, how you feel, your state. Tony Robbins pushes state a lot. It's kind of like right action follows from right state. And getting yourself aligned. Maybe you need a journal. But when you sit down to journal, like you can't think of anything, even though you were thinking about it all day, you can't think of anything to say. Build that habit. Okay, I'm going to journal 10, 15 minutes every night. When I journal, I'm going to come up with the stuff that I was thinking about, and then like watch the words pour onto the page. So what I would recommend is that you try to identify cognitive dissonance in your life. Like whenever you think you should be doing something and then you don't do it, whenever you think or feel you should be doing something, but you do something else or you just don't do it, that is cognitive dissonance. That's a dark spot. Cognitive dissonance is a gap. It is a dark spot in your psyche, potentially even in your spirit. So identify those places where you have cognitive dissonance and figure out what operations you could run in order to close the gap, in order to integrate, in order to shine light on that darker area. Okay? So yeah, I mean, the bottom line is that like an orgone generator should make you a better person, because you should use the orgone generator to make yourself a better person. And I think that's one of like the best uses of the generator you can use. I'll take a look around, maybe send this in an email. I'll find Carl's autogenic training. Maybe I'll throw this in the show notes. And you know, that's going to be more complex. It's going to be a whole system. You know, you don't need a complex system starting off, right? Like just take the first step. If you try to like plan to perfection, you have this big whole plan. A lot of people like never get started. It's just another form of procrastination. But I would really recommend that you look at your own life, you figure out what you want, what you think you should be doing, and then think about ways to run operations to manifest those things using an orgone generator. I think you'll be surprised. Think about like a lack of willpower. Why did we say that? Okay, I wasn't going to eat the donut, and then it got put in front of me, and I smelled it, and I saw it, and I just couldn't stop. I just needed like that donut. Um, you needing the donut in a lot of cases is either lack of life energy, right? You said I'm not going to eat it. If you had more oomph, then you wouldn't eat it, right? More oomph going for the don't eat donut operation. And operations can be run like consciously and subconsciously. So realize that. I mean, and the subconscious is the hard part, but it's also the powerful part. I really, really believe that like aligning your conscious and your subconscious is just one of the most absolutely important things that a human can do. So, you know, I'm not going to eat this donut, and then you're weak. I mean, listen to the words that we use. Weak in what way? Lack life force. You lack life force. I mean, it's simple. Like, so give yourself life force to not eat the donut. Um, you know, anytime you talk about like a failure of willpower, what is will? Like willpower, it's doing, right? It really relates to life force energy, right? It relates to chi, to orgone, to prana. Um, so give yourself that extra boost, that extra oomph. Um, and it takes time, you know, like there's, you know, maybe you need to deflect something versus like go straight against it. And I'll talk about that probably in the school group about like ways to frame operations and go deeper into that. But bottom line, the number one reason manifestations fail is a lack of life energy, a lack of life force, a lack of orgone, a lack of chi, a lack of prana. You know, with manifestations involving yourself, because a manifestation is like, let's say I want to meditate 30 minutes every day for the next year, that's a manifestation. You know, it's from present state to future state. That's what a manifestation is. And so why does that fail? Lack of life force energy. I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to. Or I have some sort of subconscious resistance to doing that, even though I know it will help me. Give yourself more life force. So I would really recommend that you consider whatever generator you have, using it to focus on yourself in a way that helps you, you know, integrate your conscious and your subconscious, and not have cognitive dissonance. That'll be really powerful. And then what do you know? When you don't have cognitive dissonance, what do you know? Your body actually creates a lot of orgone. Your body actually creates a lot of life force energy. And then when it gets aligned, you realize how much you actually have. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say. But look at your life. A lot of things can be solved with a simple audit. Who, what, when, where, why. A lot of things can be solved with a simple audit. So look at your life, figure out the dark spots, figure out when you're not doing something you think you should do, figure out your cognitive dissonance. You know, you're not going to figure it all out on the first day, but you can figure it out, and it doesn't have to take that long. And then figure out how you can use a generator, which is basically the most powerful energetic manifestation tool that exists. Figure out how you can use that to remove the cognitive dissonance from your life. so that you do what you think you should do, and you're completely aligned and authentic. Okay, so that's it for now. Dave, OrgoneGenerator.com. We'll be back with more videos, but hopefully this is helpful. Feel free to drop comments and we'll respond to them, and we will talk to you soon.